Hi everyone, in this video we'll quickly learn the code first approach in Entity Framework using C Windows Forms. Code first means we start with our application logic and let the framework handle the data storage. First we create our CS classes to define our data models. Then Entity Framework automatically creates the database directly from those classes. It's a powerful and developer-friendly way to manage your data. Let's dive in. Start by creating a new Windows Forms app in Visual Studio. Choose the appropriate project template and give it a name. Next, we need to install Entity Framework. Open the NuGet Package Manager, search for Entity Framework, and click Install to add it to your project references. Once the installation finishes, we are ready to start coding our models. In code first, we start by creating a simple model class. Create a public class named Student. This represents our data entity. Add an integer property for the ID. EF will treat this as the primary key. Next, add a string property for the student's name. And finally, an integer property for their age. This simple class structure defines everything EF needs to know. It contains the ID, name, and age properties we just defined. This class will automatically become a table in our database later. Every property in our class will correspond to a column in that table. Now create a DB-context class to manage the database connection and operations. Make sure to include the system data entity namespace. Our class should inherit from the base DB-context class provided by EF. In the constructor, we pass the name of our connection string. Now define a DB set of students. This represents the collection of all students. The DB set is essentially our gateway to the students table. Here is the complete context class. It links our models to the database logic. Now we need to define the database connection in our app.config file. Add the connection string section within the configuration tags. Give it the same name we used in our DB-context constructor. Specify the data source as localDB and set the initial catalog name. Don't forget to set the provider name to the SQL client. When the app runs for the first time, EF will use this to create your database automatically. Let's test our setup by inserting some sample data into the database. Wrap your code in a using block to ensure the context is disposed correctly. Create a new student object and populate its properties. Add the student object to the student's DB set on our context. Finally, call save changes to commit the transaction to the database. When this code runs, several things happen behind the scenes. The database is created, the table structure is built, and your data is inserted successfully. That's the code first approach in a nutshell. Simply create your classes first. Create your DB context, run the app, and let Entity Framework do the heavy lifting. Thanks for watching. Happy coding with Entity Framework in WinForms.